I used to think calm children were just born that way. Some kids had that quiet steadiness when things went sideways, that ability to settle after a meltdown on their own. Other kids didn't, and the parents of calm children, I assumed, just got lucky. Then I started researching early childhood education in Japan, and one word stopped me completely: Mimamoru. It translates roughly as to watch over, but that translation doesn't carry what the word actually means. In Japan, particularly in early childhood education, Mimamoru isn't passive, it's a discipline, a deliberate, attentive form of observation that teachers and parents practice instead of intervening when a child is struggling, and the research behind it changes something fundamental about what calm parenting can mean. By the end of this, you'll understand what Mimamoru looks like in a real Japanese preschool, why neuroscience says it builds stronger emotional circuits than stepping in does. And you'll have one shift you can try with your child tonight. The evidence is hard to argue with. The first time I came across this, my instinct was to resist it. The idea of watching a child struggle without helping felt like it were against everything I'd read about responsive, attachment-based parenting. How can holding back be the caring choice? What kind of presence is staying still when your child is in distress? It took me a while to understand the distinction. Once I did, it shifted how I saw almost everything. Here's what a Japanese preschool classroom actually looks like. It's mid-morning. 2 3-year-olds are fighting over a toy. Both want it. Neither is letting go. In many Western classrooms, a teacher would be beside them within 30 seconds, mediating, soothing, proposing a solution. In this classroom, the teacher steps back. She watches. Her face is calm, not anxious. She stays fully present but doesn't intervene. The children argue. One cries briefly, and then, slowly and imperfectly, they work it out themselves. What the teacher is doing has a name: Mimamoru. She isn't absent. She's watching with full, warm attention, reading every signal, ready to act if something genuinely dangerous approaches. But she's made a deliberate decision, grounded in years of understanding how children develop, that this moment belongs to the children. That stepping in would quietly take something from them. Researchers at the University of Hawai'i spent months observing both Japanese and American preschools and documenting how teachers responded to conflict. Japanese teachers intervened in child disputes at a rate 3 to 4 times lower than their American counterparts. What's most surprising in those findings wasn't the teacher behavior. It was what happened to the children across the months that followed. The children in those Japanese classrooms showed significantly higher levels of self-regulation by the end of the year, the capacity to manage their own emotions, tolerate frustration, and repair small conflicts without adult direction. Here's where the neuroscience becomes hard to ignore. When a child faces a manageable stressor, a disagreement, a homework problem, a moment of social friction, and works through it without immediate adult rest, something specific happens in the developing brain. The prefrontal cortex, which governs impulse control, empathy, and emotional regulation, gets rehearsal time. Those circuits are activated, tested, and gradually strengthened. Researchers at Kyoto University tracked this across multiple cohorts of children aged 2 to 6. Those given space to navigate low-stakes challenges independently showed measurably greater prefrontal development by age 7 than those whose struggles were consistently interrupted. Think about what that feels like at 4 years old. Every time you struggle, an adult appears to fix it. Every time something feels uncomfortable, someone smooths it away. The message your nervous system absorbs across thousands of repetitions isn't gratitude, it's quieter and more lasting. A felt sense that difficulty cannot be handled alone. The Japanese have a word for what those classrooms are intentionally building: jiritsushin, the spirit of self-reliance. It shows up in how Japanese preschoolers serve their own lunch, clean their own classrooms, tie their own shoes long before Western curricula expect it. Not because teachers are uninvolved, but because there's a deep cultural conviction that doing things for children they could do themselves is a kind of gentle underestimation, an invisible vote of no confidence offered daily with loving intentions. There's one dimension of this that the research nearly missed, and it turns out to be the most practically useful part for a parent at home. A preschool teacher in Kyoto, interviewed for a developmental study I kept returning to, described Mimamoru as the hardest kind of patience she had ever practiced. Not patience waiting for something external to happen, patience in restraining the internal impulse to fix. She said watching a child struggle and choosing to remain still required more disciplines than any active form of teaching she had done. That line stayed with me, because most of what we call attentive parenting is really attentive intervention. We feel most present when we're doing something. Mimamoru asks for a different kind of presence, one that trusts, that holds back, that reads as abandonment to our instincts even when it isn't. What strikes me about this research is that it doesn't ask parents to care less. It asks them to trust more. Those feel identical in the moment, standing in the kitchen, watching your child struggle, everything in you wanting to walk over. The shift isn't the feeling, it's in what you decide to do with it. Here's the take I keep coming back to, and I'll say it knowing it isn't comfortable. I think much of modern parenting culture, even the thoughtful, warm, evidence-based kind, has quietly made us afraid of our children's discomfort. We've been told to validate, to soothe, to meet every feeling with presence, and that matters. But it's only half the picture. A child who is always soothed by an adult never builds the internal experience of soothing themselves. That capacity, regulating your own nervous system, finding your own ground, is arguably the most foundational emotional skill a human being can develop. You can't give it to a child directly. You can only give them the conditions in which they build it for themselves. When your child is struggling and you step back rather than in, does that feel like trust or does it feel like abandonment? I'm genuinely curious where that line sits for you, and whether it shifts as they grow older. Here's what Mimamoru actually looks like at home. When your child hits a wall with homework tonight and the impulse rises to explain or take over, pause. Count slowly to 10. Watch with calm, genuine attention. Not with the body language of someone about to intervene, but with the quiet presence of someone who trusts. What are they doing with the problem? What small strategies are they already trying? You might be surprised. During sibling conflicts, the practice is harder and the pull to mediate is stronger. But research from the University of Michigan found that siblings given space to work through disagreements without consistent parental mediation developed what the study called conflict fluency, a durable capacity to navigate friction that transferred directly to stronger peer relationships at school. The children whose parents always stepped in had fewer internal tools for managing it alone when an adult wasn't there. Before we finish, comment yes if you've ever tried stepping back and it actually worked, or no if it still feels as impossible in the moment. I read every comment, and it genuinely shapes what we explore next. 1. Practice. Mimamoru. Watch over with love without rescuing. Tonight, when your child needs to find their own ground, try 10 seconds of stillness before you step in. Just 10 seconds. That pause, practiced consistently across thousands of small moments, is what decades of developmental research points to as the quiet foundation of a child who can calm themselves. Next time, we're going into a Japanese concept that entirely changes how parents understand their child's mistakes, one that developmental researchers have been asking Western schools to adopt for over 2 decades. If today gave you something to sit with, stay with us. Subscribe for more calm, research-backed parenting. And if this reached you, share it with another parent who might need to hear it.